Hey, well, this is the last time you get to see this face, at least for a while. So I'm sorry. Um, Final thing. Here we go. Ugh. All right. So I chose Joshua chapter 23. Why? Um, Mostly because we hadn't gone over it yet. I wanted a little bit of a challenge um on something that we hadn't gone over. I wanted to do some of the research kind of on my own without going into a paper with like these heavy preconceived notions. Um, yeah, I mostly just wanted to make it more difficult on myself. Um, but I also really loved the parallels between Joshua and Moses and their final speeches, just how they were the same and different, and how it kind of shed some more light onto the first portions, the rest of the book of Joshua. So what I found super interesting was that it ends with like this potential curse, or some of the theologians that I was like reading in the commentaries just outright said it was a curse and not a blessing. Pretty ballsy move, I think, on the part of Joshua to end with a curse, or like, hey, don't mess this up. I'm dying, so I'm not going to be here to lead you anymore. I think it's really interesting to see that transition of leadership. We get Moses 2.0 and Joshua's dying, or he's at least old and giving his final instruction. I think I mentioned in my paper that it almost sounds like Joshua is stressed out or fearful, fearful that his legacy could fall flat. That he puts in his literal life's work was to conquer the land and create a space for Israel, and he's not going to be around to facilitate that anymore. So I think it's really, yeah, just interesting to see the humanity of this character and this person, this leader that we build up into something so much grander than what he simply could have been. He's just simply worried for his legacy. I thought was fascinating. The payoff of the chapter, I think, fits into a lot of what we've already talked about in previous weeks. God is bigger. God is bigger than human obstacles. God is bigger than other religions. God is bigger than other gods. God is bigger than other cultural ideas. God is bigger than historical inaccuracies and struggles there. I also think it's interesting that since it's more of a curse and less of a blessing, it's showing how God is asking something of humanity. We're not just passive recipients to the blessings of God. In my mind, it links to James, faith without works is dead. That this idea in James, it wasn't new, but it was something that God has always kind of been doing. God is going to give us blessings. God is going to work for our betterment, but we're not trust fund kids. He doesn't want spoiled brats running around this world. I could go into a whole sermon right there about Christianity and being the dominant religion in America, and it made us spoiled and bad theology came about. And so it also speaks to the prophetic nature of Judges and how the people don't follow God. And then we're able to continue the story and read on and see the negatives of not giving unto Yahweh what is Yahweh's, what God is due, and the worship that we give goes hand in hand with the blessings that God gives. If it's good and pure worship, then we'll be able to see the benefits of God a little bit more. But not prosperity gospel. It gets gritty, I guess, there. But again, part of what I liked about it. So what would I preach? In a coffee shop setting, I did talk about divine violence in relation to this chapter. I think a lot of it speaks to, let's go with the stance, battles happened. So we are going from bloody war conquest, and now we're going into this cultural change, in this cultural battle where God is fighting on behalf of everyone, calling Israel to stay Israel. They are what lasts. All other cultures, all other ideas, modern day we see as myths. Israel lasted. Yahweh lasted. It's that staying power, I think, that I would kind of hit on preaching. God is bigger than our culture. God is bigger than our fears. And ultimately, God is fighting for us, whether that is through actual real conquest or by being so firm and foundational that we can always go back to God, go back to Yahweh, and anything lesser will fall away. Yeah. Thank you for genuinely a great quarter and wonderful lectures, wonderful books. I typically don't, I'm going to tip my hand here, I don't typically watch lectures and read. I usually pick one or the other, but this quarter I definitely leaned in and did both. So because it was interesting. Thank you.